Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We were busy yesterday. We discussed this in detail yesterday about reading the Quran. We gave all the dalail, and then we mentioned something about the Maliki madhab and why we shouldn't be just shifting and what we say, madhab hopping, etc. We discussed that, and then we gave some solutions for the Appas teaching in the madrasa, and also we spoke about if a person is memorizing the Quran, they can listen to the Quran, they can read in the mind, etc. We discussed all of that. So now today we're going to move on to a new discussion, inshallah. Bismillah, read it, inshallah. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasul al-Kareem. وَلَيْسَ لَهُمْ نَصْفُ الْمُصْحَفِ إِلَّا بِغِلَافِهِ. So here, remember who we're speaking about here. Just follow the Zamair. So one of the ways that in understanding the Ibarat, you must always follow the Zamair. That's important, right? So see, remember, go back. وَلَيْسَ لِلْحَائِذِ وَالْجُنُوبِ وَالنُّفَسَاءِ قِرَاءَةُ الْقُرْآنِ. It is not permissible for the ha'idah, not for the junubi, the person that needs a faraz ghusl, right? No fasa'i, the person that is experiencing postnatal bleeding, qira'atul Qur'ani, permissible for them to recite the Quran. So now we're speaking about the same zama'ir there, right? وَلَيْسَ لَهُمْ. So these same people, لَيْسَ لَهُمْ مَسْحُ الْمُصْحَفِ إِلَّا بِغِلَافِهِ. It is not permissible for such a person to touch the mushaf إِلَّا بِغِلَافِهِ, except with its cover. What about it? How they refer to it with its cover. Two, three things I want to tell you here. First thing I want to tell you is this here. We normally say in our urf, now I'm not sure in other countries, maybe UK, whatever, but we say Quran, Quran, Quran. Uh, right. So when we say mushaf, in the Arabs also say mushaf. So it means a copy of the Quran. So for the time being, what I want to say, what I want to say here is just understand this to mean a book that has been specially printed for the Quran in. And you, as we go through the sabak, you will understand why I'm emphasizing that point, right? So say a book like how we have a mushaf, it is specifically been printed for the purposes of housing or accommodating the Quran, right? So it is not permissible for them, Junubi, Haira, etc., Masul Mushafi, to touch it illa bi ghilafi. Now this here also, just for the moment, say with its cover. There's going to be a bit detail with regards to the cover later on that I'll explain that when we come there also, right? So, remember we mentioned yesterday, we told you that the Maliki Madhab, Imam Maliki says that you can, the Haida can read, but you can't touch. So this is muttafaq alayhi la yamassuhu illa al-mutahharun. It is muttafaq alayh. There is no ikhtilaf amongst any of the imam that when you are out, when you are in hayd, when you are in janabat, you can't touch the Quran at all at all. There's no ikhtilaf in that, right? So if you want to touch the Quran, you have to touch it with a cover, right? And okay, for the time being here, say you have to touch it with a independent cover, right? So there's no ikhtilaf here. The main point here, there's no ikhtilaf amongst any of the ulama that these three people, Junubi, Ha'idha, Nufasa, they cannot touch the Quran at all. And I tell you, I repeat this, here we're speaking about a book that is primarily being printed to house and accommodate the Quran, right? Then the next part, وَلَا أَخْذُ دِرْهَمٍ فِيهِ سُورَةٌ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ إِلَّا بِسُرَّتِهِ. Then the next, it is not permissible, right, to touch a dirham in it is a surah from the Quran, except what is uh, in his bag. Now, before in the Muslim countries, like in the Dawlat Uthmaniya, Dawlat Umayyah, the Dawlat Abbas, etc., they would mint coins and they would put verses of the Quran on the coin, etc. And I'm sure you might have seen in pictures or whatever, they would keep these coins like in a leather bag that would have a string on it, etc. Right? So if you got the coin and the coin has got some Quran on it, then it will not be permissible for you to touch that as well, right? Because it is in the hukum of the Quran. But yes, when it is in an independent bag, which is separate, then you can touch the bag, right? وَكَذَا الْمُحْدِثُ. Now, we're progressing now. The muhdith is that person who is in need of wudu, but is not in need of ghusl. Right? So, وَكَذَا الْمُحْدِثُ لَا يَمَسُّ الْمُصْحَفَ إِلَّا بِخِلَافِهِ. And like that, also the person who is in need, the person who is in need of wudu cannot touch the Quran except what is khilaf, what is cover. I told you for the moment, just take this to be independent cover. There's a detailed explanation coming at a later stage. Why? لقوله عليه السلام, because of the statement of Nabi Sallallahu لا يمس القرآن إلا طاهر, that none can touch the Quran except a pure person. Right? Now the next masla is quite interesting. ثم الحدث والجنابة حل اليد فيستويان في حكم المس. Is everything all right? So here is saying hadath. Remember, hadath is the need to make wudu, right? Follow this. This is interesting. Follow it to unravel a lot of things for you. So hadath and janabat halal yada. Here it says it goes into the hands, right? فَيَسْتَوِيَانِ فِي حُكْمِ الْمَسِّ. Hence, it is if they are two equal in the law with regards to touching. Okay, I translate this here in such a way. I'll tell you to make it easier, that hadath and janabat, they both manifest itself in the hands. What does that mean? When you need hadath, when you're in hadath, when you need to make wudu, or you're in janabat, when you need to make ghusl, then that najasat, it manifests itself in your hands. So that means you cannot touch the Quran. So both of them, hadath akbar, which is the need for ghusl, hadath asghar, the need to make wudu, the effects are seen, both of them, akbar and asghar, the effects, both of them, the effects are seen in the hands. So hence you cannot touch the Quran directly, right? Are you with me? So, فَيَسْتَوِيَانِ فِي حُكْمِ الْمَسِّ. They are equal. Both are equal. Hadath akbar and hadath asghar, need for wudu and need for ghusl, they are equal with regards to touching the Quran. That means you cannot touch the Quran, right? But now, as the word suggests, hadath akbar, which is the need for a ghusl, that is bigger, it is greater. So it has far further reaching implications. Not only does it manifest itself in the hands, even manifests itself in the tongue. Are you with me? That's what it's saying. Well, janabatu, but if you janabat, because as the word suggests, hadath akbar, it is bigger, it is greater. And obviously, in order for janabat, in order to come into janabat, you have to experience a bigger thing, marital relationships, or haiz, or inzal, whatever. So it's a bigger thing. So its consequences are greater. Its consequences are far further reaching. So, well, janabatu halatil fama, right? Janabat, it covers the whole body, right? Including the mouth. Now, we done this here, we discussed this out this sidetrack for a little bit. They say that, when you need a faras ghusl, you have to wash every hair on your external body. And you have to wash your mouth and you have to wash your nose. If even a single hair remains dry, then your ghusl is not done. That's all for hayd, for nifas, for janabat, etc., etc. Are you with me? Now, that's obviously proven from the text, it's proven from the Quran, we done it. Hatta yataharu is proven from the hadith, etc., etc. But as a wisdom, why do your whole body have to be washed? Why does every hair on your body have to be washed when you need to purify yourself from a ghusl? Ulama explain, they say when a person has marital relationship, husband, wife, or he has inzal, then every atom in his body experiences a ecstasy. Hence, the whole body has to be washed. And I seen, we can check this out medically. They say that when a person has inzal, husband-wife relationship, actually every pore on the body, including every fiber of hair, it also gives off a very, very minute amount of toxins. So we don't do ghusl because of these medical reasons, whatever. We do it primarily because the Quran and Hadith tells us to do it. But yes, uh, when these things or the Islamic laws are supported uh, by medical findings and everything, then it is an added bonus for us. It is a added bonus. It reaffirms our faith in the beauty of the teachings of the Quran. It reaffirms our faith in the beauty of the teachings of the Hadith. Are you with me? So coming back to that part, we're saying when a person needs janabat, his whole body is affected. His whole body experiences the ecstasy. His whole body is studied by a minute amount of toxins. Hence, we say that the janabat, it goes to every part of his body. Well, janabatu halat, it goes, it permeates al-fama, even the mouth. That is why in Janabat you can't even read the Quran. You can just read it as dua. You can read those verses. It has the meaning of a dua, is a dua. Or those verses that generally recited for protection, you can read them. Right? Dun al hadathi. So this doesn't happen in hadath. In hadath, it doesn't permeate to your tongue. The hadath is only to your arms, etc. Right? So فيفترقان في حكم القراءة. Hence, we'll say that حدث أكبر, حدث أصغر, the need to make a faraz ghusl, and the need to make wudu, they differ with regards to the hukum of reciting. You can recite Quran whilst you are in حدث أصغر, right? So, okay, the next one I told you is very important. Maybe I will just explain it before we look at the kitab. So we're saying here that you can touch the Quran if you got a covering, right? There's three things. One is the covering is fixed to the Quran, right? One is the covering is fixed to your body, and one is the covering is independent of the Quran. Three things. I'll give the hukum and I'll give the reasoning. If the covering is fixed to your body, like how you got your sleeve here. Look here, I got my sleeve here. Now I want to take the sleeve of my kurta and I want to touch the Quran because I got no wudu, not permissible. In Arabic, they call this the zail. It's like the tail of your cloth. So I want to take this and I want to touch the Quran. I cannot touch the Quran if I got no wudu. Why? What is the reason? Can you think about any reasoning? Because it is connected to your body, so it is part of your body, so it has the same hukum of your body, so as though you are touching it with part of your body, right? That's pretty clear. Then you get certain, like then you get a Quran that has a fixed cover. It has a fixed cover to such an extent that if you grab hold of the cover, the Quran, if I pull the cover, the Quran will also move. If I pull the cover, the Quran will also move. Right? So that means the cover is now part of the Quran. The cover is now. So, and as you correctly pointed out, the cover is now part of the Quran. So it has the same hukum of the Quran. So when you touch that without wudu, as though you are touching the Quran without wudu. And I told you a simple way of that is if you grab hold of the cover and you pull the cover and you see now the whole Quran is moving with it, or you can't simply just slide the Quran out of the cover. You need to first loosen it at the ends. Then that is a sign, it's a fixed cover. What is the sign? It's a fixed cover. So if the cover has been fixed to the Quran, then that means the cover is part of the Quran. So you cannot touch it without wudu because as though you are touching the actual Quran without wudu, right? Then, when we were small, they used to get something like a jusdan, maybe you also, but I don't see people don't use jusdan. Jusdan is an independent bag that you put your Quran in there, like a Quran bag. So Urdu word, jusdan. So can you touch the jusdan? Yes, definitely you can touch the jusdan because it is totally separate. It is totally separate. It is not in the hukum of your body. It is not in the hukum of the Quran. It's a totally separate thing. So yes, you can touch the Quran, right? Even if you need wudu. So look at it, read that one day. وَخِلَافُهُ كالجلد مشرز والصحيح, right? See there. So when we say, that I explained in the previous about, when we say it is permissible to touch the Quran without wudu, as long as it has khilaf, وخلافه is khilaf ما يكون متجافيا, that which is separate. Jafi means it's just to be a distance away. But in this context, obviously not a distance away, but means that which is separate, mutajafian anu. It is separate from the what? It is separate from the Quran. Duna ma wa muttasilun bihi. Not that which is joined to it. And I explained to you, is fixed to it. That if you can't simply pull the cover off, you have to first like loosen the ends, whatever, right? Like, so not that. Duna ma muttasilun bihi. Kal jil dil musharrazi. Like a leather or something that has been affixed to it, right? You check the meaning of musharrazi, like a leather which has been fixed to it. Right. Was sahih, and then the fatwa is upon this here, right? Then وَيُكْرَهُ مَسُّهُ بِالْكَمِّ was sahih. We explain this. It is makruh to touch it with the sleeve, and we gave you the reasoning because it is now tabi'. It is part of the body, so as though you're touching on the body. Was sahih, and this is the correct madhab. I told you, wherever you see the sahih, that shows you that there is ikhtilaf there, and this is the preferred, or what this is what the fatwa is given on, right? Then the reason لأنه تابع له, because it is now a tabi, literally that's like a follower, but we can say now it's attached to it, right? بخلاف كتب الشريعة لأهلها. Now they're saying that, yeah, contrary to books of Shariah, لأهلها, for the people of knowledge, حيث يرخص له يرخص في مسه بالكم. Contrary to books of Shariah, right? For the people, for the like the ulama, right? حيث يرخص, it is permitted في مسها, in touching it بالكم, with the sleeve. Okay, yeah, I see Sai Bidaya. I never go into too much detail, but I'll just give from you from my side. So sometimes you get certain books like tafsir books, etc. It got Quran in it and got explanation of the Quran, right? So what is the law here? That if you got a book and there's more Quran than non-Quran, there's more Quran than non-Quran. Saif, just call Hafiz Abdullah for me there. So if there's more Quran than non-Quran, then it will be considered to be a Quran book, right? And if there's more non-Quran, then it will be considered to be a not a Quran. Then you can touch it without wuzu. Understood that? You found it musharraz. So you get certain, like very, very brief tafsir books. The tafsir book is both classes. Right? So if the tafsir book, you get certain tafsir books where the explanation is very, very brief. Like of our tafsir ibn Kathir here, here that explanation is way more than the Quran. Look, man, you see this, if the tafsir ibn Kathir here, the explanation is way more than the Quran. So there, technically speaking, now I'm not speaking about adab and respect. I'm just speaking about the law. I'm just speaking about the law. Otherwise, adab, respect every book of Islam, whether it is the Quran, whether it's Hadith, whether it's a tafsir book, whether it's an Aqidah book, from the adab and the etiquette of learning is that you must come to the class with wudu, right? That's a different thing, right? So the adab and the etiquette is any Islamic book you must have wudu out of respect. You must respect all your Islamic alat. That's a different thing. Yeah, we're just speaking about, okay, okay. So here we're not really speaking about the respect factor. Here we're speaking purely about the permissibility. So yeah, I told you the respect factor, any book, any Islamic book, you must, whether even if you're a Nahwa book, a Sarf book, a fiqh book, a Hadith book, respect for the Alatul Ilm, you have wudu, etc. That's a different issue. Here we're speaking purely permissibility and impermissibility, right? You're with me. So I repeat that if you've got a tafsir book or any book, and the Quran is more then the explanation is considered to be a Quran. You can attach it with wudu. But even if the explanation, the non-Quran, is even a bit more than the Quran, then you can touch that book without wudu, but you can't touch the writing without wudu. Are you with me? So technically speaking, just to understand this here you got Tafsir ibn Kathir, right? You don't have wudu. Technically speaking, you can touch this book, you can open it, right? Technically speaking, not adaban. You can open it, but you won't put your finger on the Arabic Quran. That's if the writing is more, right? You understood it. That is why also on that, while we're discussing that, like, you get a frame, if you get a frame, it's written there, some Quranic verse, or even on the wall, you got some verses written on there. So that is not in the hukum of the Quran. So you can touch around, everywhere around without wudu, but you can't touch the writing itself. So there's a difference between something which is a Quran and something which is not a Quran. That's why I also want to discuss with you um, before maybe I should discuss it with you now one time while we are here, the hukum of the cell phone. So having understood this here, if something's primary function is not a book, if something's primary function is not a book, or something's primary function is not a Quran, but verses are written on it, then you can touch everything besides the verses. Same now, if you understood it, you'll understand the Masal, the Tafsir book. If you look at the Tafsir book, primarily it is not only for the Quran, it's for the explanation of the Quran. So you can touch everything in the book without to do, as long as you don't touch the words of the Quran. Again, I must emphasize, while it is technically permissible, etc., it's inappropriate, especially if a person is halatate, janabat, etc., right? So if you got a frame, you have got a frame here, right? And there's some verse of the Quran on it. So you can touch all along around that frame, right? Without wuzu, as long you do not touch the words, right? Now the most important masala is about a cell phone. If you got a cell phone and now you want to read Quran from it, right? So now you don't have the app open, so you put the app on, right? Now, if you understood the principle which I told you, what was the principle? If something is not primarily a Quran, but there's some verses on there, then what's the law? You can touch everything besides the verses. So that would mean that if you but if you had a Quran app and then you had no wudu and then you open the app, you can read the Quran and you can if you don't have wudu, as long as you don't touch the verses of the Quran, right? So this is the preferred explanation or the preferred fatwa that you'll find on most of our ulama's websites like Mufti Online of Mufti Ibrahim Salaji, Ask Imam of Mufti Marhum Ibrahim Desai, both my Asatiza, or even Mufti Sa'id Mutara of Azadville, also my Ustad. Alhamdulillah, I get a good fortune of all the muftis of this country was my ustads, the main muftis, Mufti Sa'id Mutara of Azadville, Mufti Ibrahim Salaji of Springle Beach, Marhum Mufti Ibrahim Desai of um, what you call it, of Ask Imam. So all of these ones you see, they'll say it's fine. But there is an opinion where some ulama say that even that writing you can touch it without wudu. And what's the reason why they say you see when you put that app on, you see that you got a screen glass on top. So that glass on top is not the actual writing. The writing is beneath that. The writing is beneath that. So even if you touch that, you're not touching the actual writing. That's one explanation some ulama give. And some ulama also explain, they say, look here, that is not a real writing, it's only a aks. It's only a reflection of something. So two reasons, those ulama they say you can touch the writing on your screen. Two reasons I gave you. One reason is this here, that it is not the actual writing, it's only an aks, it's only a reflection. And another explanation is because the writing is actually beneath the screen. This is a glass screen. So you got on the one extreme You'll find this even amongst our ulama that you can even touch it. But as I said, that is not the mainstream. Then in the middle, you can say you can touch it, the phone as long as you do not touch the actual writing. And then you get some ulama that say, no, you cannot even touch once the Quran app is on. Once the Quran app is on, you cannot even touch the actual phone without wudu. And I'm thinking in my mind, this is now from my own side. If it's correct, you can accept it. If it's wrong, you can reject it. Look at this one here, what we done. ولا أخذ درهم فيه سورة من القرآن إلا بسورته. That dirham, there's a surah, you cannot even touch the dirham on it. So same thing, you cannot even touch the Quran. I mean, you cannot touch even, you can not touch the phone without wudu once the Quran app is on. But remember again, this is all the masla of permissibility and impermissibility. Uh, but as I said, under all circumstances, if you want the full reward and if you want as a adab and etiquette, etc., then you must obviously have wudu. Loud. Yes, correct. So you're saying you mean the app, but look here, we're not speaking about the app, we're speaking about the whole phone. We're looking at the whole phone. So just on this also some strange fatwa. Mulana Saad is head of the Nizamuddin. He gave one fatwa. He said, although he's not a mufti, but he said the salat with the cell phone in your pocket is not valid. He said because the cell phone is a device of so much fitna. So he said maybe sometimes you say maybe something tawbihan, taghleezan, just like to like how you say in the Quran, like in the Hadith, sometimes Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that this person is going to hellfire, that person is going to hellfire, etc. Hey, check the time, it's 49 already. Okay, we stop there. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. So maybe he just gave that fatwa tawbihan and taghleezan that if you read salah with the cell phone, which is alatul fitna, today's day and age, the biggest, what you call it, instrument of fitna. So your salah is not valid. Inshallah, we'll continue tomorrow. Bas, subhanallah wa bihamdihi. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك